Hello, so we are going to be looking at our next tutorial video, and in this video we are going to explore different activities in Nearpod that you can embed to gain student understanding and to let students explore different things in Nearpod. In the first tutorial video, if you remember, you were able to use different lessons embedded in the Nearpod library that you could use and edit yourselves and kind of make it your own and just kind of get you started. And in the second video, we talked about adding slides, creating your own Nearpod lesson with the content activities. So with the content features. So this time we are going to look at the activities. So the first one I want to look into is the open-ended question. And with the open-ended question, we kind of explored this one a little bit when we looked at the videos that we were able to embed from the Nearpod library, from YouTube, or even your own, how you can embed open-ended questions throughout the video. So it gives you the option to do the same thing here. You can add the video and it gives you the different options. Notice how it actually also brings media. So you can add questions from an open-ended question from an image. So if you wanted to add an image that you search from Google and then you want to ask a question from that, you can do that. Or you can just type in your question. So you can say, what is the height of the Statue of Liberty? And let's say that you actually did want to embed an image. You can go there. You can audio record, which pretty much records the question too. You can add web content or a PDF. So let's say I want to add an image. I can upload my own, or I can search for one on Google. And that way it kind of gives the student something to look at. And you can click save. So with this one, you can add it and you can move it anywhere you want to. You could leave it at the end, or you can put it right after the field trip where we added the Statue of Liberty virtual reality trip. So the next activity we're going to look at is the matching pairs. This is one of my favorite ones when looking at definitions and vocabulary terms. So let's say that you wanted to add a pair and you want to put like transformations. I know this is something completely different, but or let's actually change this and say vocabulary term 1 and definition 1. And that way you know that those match. You can click on done and it adds them. You can also add a pair. So I would recommend to add a few pairs so that the students have something to actually look over. The neat thing about this is you can also add an image. So like whatever you want to search for. So here's like a vocabulary, some sort of image, and I'm just gonna type in definition 2 to know that that's the one that goes with this picture. And you can add another pair, and notice how when you enter text you can also add the symbol for our math symbol, where you can add different things. So like you can say what is the formula for the Pythagorean theorem. And in here you can enter a text and add the symbol and just say click here, and that is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And you can click on add another pair. If you wanted another pair, you can click on done. So I just did this 3 just to kind of show you the different options that you have. And so when you click on preview on the bottom, this is what the students see. So these are all the things you created, and it changes them around for them. So notice how the first one we did was vocabulary term 1. That matches with this, and yay, they got it right. But let's say that this was not the right one. It tells them it's wrong, and then it gives them multiple opportunities to kind of try different things. So that way they can kind of practice their vocabulary terms, and it's a great way for us to be interactive and to be using our devices. So I know that one went with this one and that goes with this. And so once that's done, it previews it and it tells you how many times it took for them to try it. Alright, so let's say I want to save that and I want to add that as part of an activity I want the kids to do. So this might be one of the first few things you want to do to kind of introduce vocabulary content, especially for your ELL students or for your special needs students. So add a slide and activities. The next thing we're going to look at is a quiz. And I know some of you may not be very interested in the quiz based on the survey. That's probably because a lot of us use Canvas for quizzes. This is just like a really good, I think, formative assessment as the students are working through the lesson to kind of go through the lesson and answer quiz questions from the lesson. So in here, it's kind of the same thing. You can add media, you can add an image from your computer, from Google, you can add a PDF, a video. So if you want to add a question, this is pretty much like a multiple choice. So the question could be like, I don't know, what is the formula for, what is the quadratic formula? So this is just something really simple, but I just wanted to show you the feature. So in here you have the option, and again, for us math people, this is huge. We can add in different formulas and we can embed them in there. And then you would just click on the check mark and that tells them that this is the answer. And then here you can just have like different options. If you add an answer, it just adds different options for the students to look at, but that would be the right question. If you don't like it, you completely want to start over, you can delete it and add another one. So I'm going to click on save, and we've added sort of like a quiz question in here. If you obviously wanted more questions, all you want to do is add slide, click on activities, and add another quiz question. We can add Flipgrid, but I'm not going to go in detail on Flipgrid because we would have to learn a little bit more about Flipgrid ourselves to kind of embed that. So let's take a look at the Draw It option. And this is one of my favorite ones because the kids like it, and they can use their finger to kind of annotate over the computer, or they can use a stylus, and it's just really fun. So like in here you can say like show your work for the problem for working through question number 1, and you can embed like your PDF if you saved the question, like questions 1 through 3, but you want them to show their work for question 1. You can add it in here, and if you have it saved you can do it there, or you can even type the question yourself. And then you can also add a background image. I normally don't do that because I kind of like to have like a whiteboard for the students to just annotate over this. So I'm gonna click on save. And let's see if we can preview this. I'm gonna double click on it. So doesn't look like I can preview it here, so I'll just show you how to preview it. Oh, another feature that it has is that on each slide you can add a timer. So that's particularly, I think, helpful if you're doing a student pace and you want the students to not take like the whole time on one question. But if you're doing like a live pace and you're controlling the different slides, you can have a better idea of how much you want to spend on each slide. The next feature on activities would be the collaborate board. And on the Collaborate board, you pretty much enter a topic and enter a description. It kind of gives you more information on what this is about, but it pretty much is just an interactive brainstorming tool that students can work together and just kind of collaborate and answer different things that you want them to answer. And then the next feature would be a poll. And I like to add the polls at the end of my lesson, and that is just to gain student feedback on the lesson. So in here you can say rate the lesson from 1 to 5, 5 being the highest. Or you can ask any other question. Let's see, there's 1, 2, add an answer, 3, 4, 5. And that will give you an idea of how your lesson went. Obviously, you can change the question, you can add media, you can set a timer. So it has a lot of different options. And then you can add a slide and say that you want to do a fill in the blank. And with the fill in the blank, you can say, for example, you can have a fill in the blank. You can change the background. You can change the font. So it's pretty cool. It kind of makes it fun. I'm going to use this one. And you can say, blank represents the vocabulary term for, and then just type in your definition. And like I said, you can change different things if you don't like it. That may be harder. This may be harder to read for students, so you may want to consider something that's not going to be very hard for them to look at. Click next. And then here's the different words you want to add. So like so here's the blank, and like all you do is click on different things. Click done. And then the last feature would be memory test. And this is kind of like a matching, like another matching activity, where here you add your images, whatever image you want to add. So let's say we want to add, I don't know, the image of a car. And we drag it in here. And then you can add a vocabulary term. So this is more of just like a memory test, just like something fun. If you want to do something fun with your students, they usually appreciate when you include something that's that they can look at. It could be some things you went over with, I'm not sure, but it just kind of gives them something to work with. So there's your lesson. I probably would put the poll at the very end, or this could be the last activity, but I'm gonna move it around and just kind of leave the survey to the end. So there's your lesson. You can preview it. On the bottom it says preview, and it walks you through the different activities you embedded in the lesson. Let's see, we started off with things like this, and obviously you're just playing around with it right now just to see if you like it. You can move on to the next slide. Here's the virtual reality trip, the open-ended question, and this one's taking, oh, that's the video, that's why it's taking longer to preview. You can play it. So I kind of want to go fast through this just to show you. That's the 3D object that we embedded, the graphing calculator, the quiz. And this is the feature I couldn't show you earlier where the kids draw. So see how that's kind of really neat? They can use a highlighter and they can show their work. I mean, all they gotta do is draw it, and then you're able to see the results. And I'm going to create another video to show you that. Let